She's completed 25 weeks. The first transplanted completed the first trimester, which is the biggest period that we are there, and the anomaly scan done at the 20 weeks is completely normal. And this triple marker test also says that it is completely normal. Everything is normal. It's a dream run for us. We are very thankful to the entire team which is here. And now you can say that, lady, if you're not born without the womb, we are here to give you the same pleasure as the lady next door who's born with them. So uterine transplant actually addresses the unanswered problem of AUFI, which is called as the absolute uterine factor anomalies, which means that whenever all the answers which are there in the absence of the uterus, which is breaking the barriers, challenging the norms, and these are the reasons when you have the uterus is absent. Either you have it congenitally or whether you have it acquired. Congenitally, that is the MRKH syndrome, which is the commonest thing, small uteruses, and of course you have the obstetric hysterectomies and then cervical cancers and various reasons. And then, what is it that we are worried about? You thought that MRKH is a rare option? It is not. It is 1 in 5,000 women in India are born without the uterus, and this we realize only after 1 year of entire program. So now, the only thing that remains for a woman who is without the uterus or a uterus which is not functioning is only adoption and surrogacy. Adoption and surrogacy have their own problems. It gives you biological plus legal motherhood, but uterine transplant gives legal and gestational motherhood. That means the idea to become pregnant and delivered from the own womb. Now, this all started with the animal experiments which started way back all around the world. And in fact, you will be surprised to know that the first transplant of the world took place in 1931 when a transgender had the uterus replaced. And this is now an Oscar-winning movie. All of you can see it on the Netflix or Amazon. It is called as The Danish Girl. And this lady died, of course. But with the advent of IVF, the transplant took a bigger seat till there was a resurgence of the transplant with a guy called John McCarran, who said that it is not about vital organ transplants, it is also about non-vital organ transplants, and that's how the first uterine transplant was done in the animals, and many unsuccessful attempts were later on done. In fact, the first reported transplant came from Saudi Arabia when an immediate postpartum hysterectomy, the woman's uterus was replaced by the mother's uterus, and then in Turkey, in fact in Turkey, they did it with a cadaveric dissection. They brought the uterus from a dead woman and implanted it. The lady became pregnant, but the pregnancy didn't survive for more than 8 weeks. So this happened in 2008, and then everything went on. What is the status of uterine transplant today? The status of uterine transplant today is that it is accepted by the Transplant International Committee. So no longer here we are to debate whether a non-vital organ transplant should be done or not. It has to be done. So these are the two simple things. These are the females. The Lisa Johnston, the first one, is a lady who delivered the first United States transplanted boy, and she says that this is an incredible, important trial because she did it, she got the baby, and the potential to help thousands of women. The most important thing is another person who has done this at Baylor Institute. He says the implication from going an organ that saves life to an organ that produces life is huge. You are doing a transplant to save a person. You are doing a uterine transplant to bring another life into this world, and this is huge. Why did I decide to do uterine transplant? This is one question which is asked to me. Being a born cancer surgeon, why do I want to do this transplant? And this was because of a lecture given by Matt's Brainstorm, who delivered the first baby out of the transplanted uterus in 2014 when he was delivering his lecture at the American Association of Gynae AAGL meeting. My wife actually dragged me. She said, something new is happening. Just come and watch. And at the end of the talk, there was an absolute standing ovation because this was a great revolution of medical technology. But there were a few crazy people like me who were sitting there wondering, why did it take 14 hours to take out the uterus? doing so many radical hysterectomies day in and out. It was just not possible for me to digest that they have taken 14 hours. What exactly were they doing for 14 hours in the pelvis to retrieve the uterus? Why did they take the internal iliac vein? Because none of the surgeries involve internal iliac vein. How can you master internal iliac vein? Why can it be done laparoscopically? And the biggest question was, can it be done in India? And there's only one thing stronger than all the armies of the world, and that is an idea. Because all the success is just 1% inspiration. All 99% is perspiration. And to tell you the truth, this is the story of uterine transplant. Inspiration 2014, perspiration my entire team. And this we struggled and worked. And this is what we did decided. A transplant is to bring the uterus from somewhere, bring the uterus and put it there, and then you anastomose the vessels to the various external iliac artery and the vein. And the basic plan of our action was to find a mother who is born without the uterus, then and another lady who can donate the uterus. The first thing is to take out the embryos, prepare the embryos, transplant the uterus, then transfer the embryo after 6 cycles. Then the baby is born, do a cesarean section, and once the baby is good, then take out the uterus so that the lady is not on immunosuppression lifelong. So this was our basic plan of action, and what makes it special is that this is the only organ which is outside the abdominal cavity. Rest all organs are inside, and therefore there is a huge chance of infection which can take place. And therefore, as I said, because the vagina, through the vagina the cervix protrudes, there is a chance that this can go and line up into infection. So we always learned in our life that anatomy is followed by physiology. And we thought that it is the physiology which will follow the anatomy. We realized it only when we did the transplant. So anatomically looking good organ doesn't mean anything. After anatomically looking and putting the organ correctly, it has to function physiologically. First by having the menses and then by having the child. So this is one area that we realize that it is physiology that is followed. And what makes this Indian transplant, you all are sitting here, you must be wondering that why are we talking so much about it? Think about this. 9 uterine transplants in Sweden, the first 4 were failures. Then we had 4 uterine transplants done in Baylor University, which is the second university after Harvard in United States. The first 3 were failures. And then in Cleveland Clinic, which is again a very reputed clinic, another transplant done, failure. What about India? 6 transplants, back to back, completely successful. So we deserve a huge kind of credibility to do this. And this is the most important thing. Now, this is the first baby which was born after the transplanted uterus in December 2017. And in fact, Dr. Sandesh Kadek, who was beat by a big backbone and a part of the team, sent me this video saying that the baby has been born in US. So beyond Sweden, the only country where the baby has been born in the United States. We started the preparation of the transplant by doing bed surgeries. We have huge amount of radical hysterectomies that we do. We decided that we'll do the dissection in the same way and try to find the blood supply, and this is we got it. But whatever are your intentions, you can't move till you get the permissions. And we are proud to say that the politicians of Maharashtra were the first to give us a 5-year transplant permission. So this was all the ethical committee were cleared. The entire ICMR objected to this, but the law says that health is a state issue. ICMR has nothing to do with the state issue. And we got this permission after 16 hours of debate where the Chief Minister and the Health Minister attended that debate for 16 hours. Just a glimpse of that debate I will give you. They said, if you have to do a transplant, why not in Delhi, why not in Mumbai, why not in Calcutta? You can't do it in Pune. Then the second thing, ICMR guys said, we control, we decide which surgeries have to be done. You cannot do it. We presented our work. We showed how much anatomical work we have done, how much of preparation we have done, what is the team this is there. At the end of 16 hours, the Chief Minister and the Health Minister said, it doesn't matter where it takes place. The intentions are pure, let them do it. Now this is the time I want to tell you this, because we have this habit of only bashing the politicians. If the politicians have good intentions, things can go correctly. And uterine transplant, I owe this to the politicians of Maharashtra. I have no connections with them, and in spite of that, good work surpasses everything. It's just about good work. So the next step was to form a team. So this was like Lagan. Nobody knew how to play cricket. Nobody knew how to do transplant. Now this was a big team. Whom to choose? Who will be a better idea? Somebody has to bowl. Somebody has to bat. So we had no team. So we decided, let's have a team. And this is how the team was formed. And one of the members is sitting here, Dr. Sandesh Kade. So we had this vascular surgeon, plastic surgeon, everybody. The most important thing, when we decided to do the transplant, none of them called me crazy. I still wonder why. And they believed in me that you go ahead with this transplant. So for 1 year at 8 o'clock, private practitioners, no expectations of money, lot of things are said about the doctors. 1 year we met every single day and decided how we should be doing it. And then we formed the protocols because there was nobody to guide. We had to just watch. There were no videos. There were publications that the transplant has been done. Only 26 patients have been done worldwide. So we had to go to the basics. We decided we have to believe. The only area that we knew was a Montreal criteria which said who can be the recipient, who can be the donor. The recipient should be a lady who is born without the uterus below the age of 35 and should be in steady relationship for 2 years or at least should be married. Because still worldwide, having a child out of marriage is not considered a good thing. Donor should be either mother, sister, or anybody who's related to her. And of course, you should have a healthcare team. So our first 6 transplants that we have done, you can see, out of the 6 transplants that we have done, the first one was an MRKH and the second one was Asherman, who had a very, very bad obstetric history of 3 abortions, one fully developed child who died at the time of birth, and of course the uterus was not functioning. But rest 5 were all MRKH patients, that is all Rokitansky syndrome. Fortunately, we had all the mothers who were either perimenopausal or premenopausal, and we could use their uteruses. So all the recipients were MRKH except one, and all the donors were mothers. So this is a number of embryos that we froze. All of them were married. Hats off to the males who married these women in spite of knowing that the uterus is absent. The males, there is called woman empowerment. This is male empowerment. They married the woman in spite of the fact knowing that the uterus is not there. Now this is really great. These are heartwarming stories. And we could have so many embryos out of this. And then we have evolved into the 6th transplant. So we had this donor protocol where we decided that we'll retrieve the uterus laparoscopically, and we decided this. And this uterus is a complete different kind of hysterectomy. Here you have to do the hysterectomy without touching the vessels. You cannot manipulate this, and therefore I'm just going to take it forward for you because we have time limitations. And I will show you how the vessels were taken. So you do a colpotomy, you can see the ureter, and all these vessels were taken. The colpotomy has been done. The uterus is separated from both the sides of ureters. You can see it very, very clearly. And once this is done, then what we do is we just take it a little forward. You will see that these are the vessels. This is the internal iliac artery over there. That's the internal, this is the uterine vein. And all these vessels lastly are clamped. This is called as a warm ischemia time. So these are the ovarian vessels which were clamped. Look at that. No artery. Then this is the internal iliac artery on the left side. This is the ovarian pedicle on the right side. Then the internal iliac artery pedicle. And all this after clipping. This is called as warm ischemia. The uterus is off the blood supply. Within 3 minutes, the uterus has to come on the operation table. And our time has been always less than 2.5 minutes. So now the uterus is with the vessels. We have to take a small incision and deliver it. And then we prepare the graft. This is brought on a block of ice. On a block of ice, the vessels are then completely dissected off. You can see that. And all these vessels are then dissected off. We have to see that all the blood is out. So custodial solution is used. you can see the length of vessel, length of the ovarian vein, length of the entire artery. And once these vessels are prepared, these vessels are ready, this time taken should not exceed more than 90 minutes. We have always done it in less than 40 minutes. And then, in the meantime, Dr. Kade and Dr. Verti and other colleagues of mine, Dr. Telang and Dr. Kulkarni, they all prepared this. This is the bed. The bed, because there is no uterus, this is a very, very narrow bed. They prepared it completely laparoscopically, and then you anastomose the uterine vein to the external iliac vein and the uterine and the internal iliac artery. You anastomose to the so you can see, once this is done, look at the color of the uterus now. All the anastomosis done, the uterus looks normal color. The entire thing was done in exactly 2 hours, 30 minutes, all the anastomosis. Total time taken for recipient, 4.5 hours. So this is how we did. We first anastomosed the ovarian veins, we anastomosed the internal iliac arteries, and in the first 2 patients, we also anastomosed the uterine veins. Till I realized the futility of doing this, and this is the length of the pedicles that we got. 10 centimeters on the either side, because they have to reach on the external iliac artery and vein on the either side. So this is the pedicle length, and look at the pedicle length, how you see in a Swedish specimen and how you see in the Indian specimen, that you can see a laparoscopic specimen. What was the difference? You could see that the time taken to take out the uterus was just about 4 hours in the first patient, and the time to take out and put the uterus was 4 hours, total duration 10 hours. We matched everything with Swedish, except for the fact that the donor did not have to be under anesthesia for 14 hours. And both the patients in Sweden as well as our patients had their first menses within 50 days. So how we evolved? We then realized that as a gynae-oncologist who has done largest number of radical hysterectomies, I never operate on the area of internal iliac vein. And we all know, all of you know who are gynecologists, any damage to the internal iliac vein and the lady is dead. Just dead. So are we going to subject a donor to such an important surgery? And that's when we realized within this thing, it is not necessary. So case number 4, no uterine veins. Only ovarian veins as the outflow channel and the internal iliac artery. Case number 5, donor time reduced to 3 hours and 50 minutes. Only uterine veins, 2 ovarian veins. Still, we wanted to be sure, so use a left ovarian vein, uterine vein, but we did not do anything. And then last case that we did, which was witnessed by all the people who were sitting in the 3rd row, they watched this, Amay and Vivek and Nagendra, everybody was there to watch this live. And we have done this only internal iliac arteries and the ovarian veins. Time taken for the donor, actual dissection, 2 hours, 30 minutes, total time. And what we did was, we anastomosed the ovarian veins to the external iliac vein, but we anastomosed the internal iliac artery to the internal iliac artery of the recipient. Now, how does it help? Now the uterus will have only dedicated blood supply from the internal iliac artery. When we anastomose this artery to the external iliac, there is a side supply, and therefore the uterus can go into problems. So that's how we evolved, and how we evolved in the last transplant. So we also realized that the cervicovesical fascia has veins underneath, and we have to anastomose this. So we started using a barb suture, because revascularization causes tremendous bleeding, and therefore we did that, and we realized that it is the evolution that we did this. The secret lies, ladies and gentlemen, in the ovarian veins. Now, why am I doing this? The entire area of and the entire journey of laparoscopy of mine has been not that only I can do it. My journey has been you can do it. You have heard Shiv Khera's lecture, you can win too. This is the true grasping of a teacher. If I say only I can do it, I die, surgery dies. If I make this duplicable, if I make this replicable, and therefore we started using this, and this is, we realized that for the uterus, so this was a specimen, one uterine artery, you put the methylene blue, and it came out of ovarian vein, indicating one artery, one ovarian vein is sufficient for the entire blood supply. And therefore, innovations in anatomy, understanding the pelvic anatomy, we realize that when I do a trachelectomy, I take out the uterine arteries. When I do a large fibroid, we put the uterine artery and still the patient becomes pregnant. And therefore, this is the last of the bench surgery that was witnessed by everybody. And you could see only ovarian veins and the internal arteries. You can see that, and you can see the entire anastomosis. The uterus still looks good only with ovarian veins and the artery. And then we also started using the momentum to wrap the ureter because it becomes devascularized. And this is what we realized, that in the uterine artery has about 8 branches. So the uterus can survive with just one uterine artery and one ovarian vein. And this is the biggest innovation that we have done. And therefore we could go ahead. What is the latest update? All our patients are menstruating completely. And basically this was because of an excellent post-operative care where we had the HEPA filters which were fitted. How do we monitor? How did we monitor the uteruses? Whether they are not getting rejected. So we used the non-invasive test, which is the color Doppler, and then the invasive test, which is the biopsy. So you can see the color Doppler on the 7th day, and you can see the biopsies which were taken, which realized that the C4D, which was there, which is the immunohistochemistry marker, they were all negative, and we could see the cervix so nicely on the 8th day. This is the marker which is important. This marker was negative, and this is the Dopplers or the various Dopplers of the transplanted uterus. Tell me, ladies and gentlemen, does it look different from any other uterus? So these are the Dopplers that you can see, all of them doing exceedingly well. And these are the various areas of the Dopplers that we did. And this is how we did. And then came the biggest problem. We decided that we will now transfer the embryos after 6 cycles. We looked at the anastomosis, everything did well. In January 2018, before I went for AICOG, we did our first transfer, which was done an embryo transfer, just 6 months after the entire thing. And then our dream run ended. We had our first failure. We did the embryo transfer. We were very confident that we will get the baby. Everything was perfect. We were in the best of the moods. 6 weeks, the beta HCG rose, and after 6 weeks, we had an abortion. And this was short-lived, and this was highlighted in all the newspapers. Because good work gets highlighted, but bad work also gets highlighted. And we didn't mind this, because we always thought that we should be truthful, we should be honest, and we should be telling the world what we have done. Doesn't matter. We have not killed the patient. So we had a very, like a natural course. And then we realized that in various countries that they have done, only 1 out of 3 transplanted uterus could become pregnant. And even in Sweden, out of 9 transplanted uterus, only 4 become given. So second chances are not given to make the things right, but they are given to prove that we can be doing it better. What was our problem? We transferred 2 embryos because we thought this is like an IVF cycle. We transferred 2 embryos. We decreased the dose of estrogen and progesterone, which was not correct. So we realized, we introspected, and then final moment arrived when we again decided we did not heed the regular books which said you wait for 2 cycles before the next transfer. We transferred the lady immediately after the first princess, and then to our biggest surprise, April 2000, in March we did the transfer. April 2018, in the first week, we had a beta HCG of 2,701, and then we had this baby waving at us at 16 weeks, saying that we have arrived. And that is what we had. And these are few images of the various areas, and this is a high-risk pregnancy. So we did not allow the lady to go back. The lady is with us. I think I am getting full ideas about how I should take care of my daughter when she becomes pregnant, because I am already taking care of one. So I am very sure it will be. So what lies ahead? The first trimester where there is a chance of anomalies. Why? Because she is on immunosuppressions like tacrolimus, she is on immunosuppression like steroid, she is on azathioprine. We have crossed the first barrier. The second barrier is IUGR. That also we have crossed. Now the third barrier that we are trying to cross is the diabetes and PIH, which is our biggest problem. The lady is on insulin, 60 units of insulin because of extensive use of steroids. She still doesn't have PIH, but we are going to take care of that. But the first 2 trimesters have been completely successful, smooth trimester, perils of the second trimester almost getting complete. We march on tirelessly, hoping that nothing but the best will be given. Our target was anomaly scan, which was okay, lungs ready at delivery. We will not take the pregnancy till 40 weeks. It would be a disaster to take. Because understand, ladies and gentlemen, we have transplanted the veins and the arteries. We have not transplanted the nerves. The lady will never feel the labor pain. It's a very high risk pregnancy. So we have decided that at 34 weeks or 2 kgs, whatever is earlier, we are going to do this. The mode of delivery will be always cesarean section, and it's going to be classical cesarean because we have pushed the uterus really down. And our biggest another problem that we are facing, this lady unfortunately has a hugely anteriorly placed placenta. So every day now there is a debate whether they should go from the lateral side. I don't know how they are going to do it, but they'll definitely do it. So save the date, it's not too far away, but after the baby is about 6 months old, we are going to take out the uterus because the lady should not be. As per law, we can have 2 pregnancies in this transplanted uterus. This uterus, which has not delivered for 25 years, is now going to deliver after 25 years, and therefore we think that after 1 baby we are going to take out the entire thing. Ladies and gentlemen, this is all the story. We have come a long way, but we have a longer way to go. And now this is the impact. We have 480 patients waiting in line. When I wanted to do the transplant, I begged to every IVF specialist to send a patient. Only Dr. Kade sent me a patient. There were no patients. Because they thought I'm crazy. Today I have 500 patients. I'm busy for the next 10 years. I don't need an IVF specialist. And this is the most important thing. We have started an OPD, dedicated transplant OPD. And this is India's first transplanted team. Though you see my face, I'm just a face. It is a team which has helped me to do this, and you can see all this. And we have not stopped at this. We published, because as an Indian, as a person who is coming from Asia, it is very difficult. You can understand, when I did this in laparoscopy, it took me 10 years to rise to the level that what anatomy, ladies and gentlemen, I am teaching you is right. Fat does belong to the rectum, fat does belong to the bladder, but my skin color came in the way. People took 10 years to understand this. So we didn't want to wait for 10 years. We decided we'll publish this, and I've got 128 publications. So this is also for the youngsters sitting in the audience. Publish or perish. Nobody is going to believe you till you publish. We published this, we published our video, and everything. This is in the JMA. Utero-ovarian anastomosis also we published. So we have published everything. We speak, we publish, we do, and we have told the world that we as Indians have arrived. Don't you dare talk to us in the other way, because we know better. We are better skilled than anyone else. And in spite of that, we had this published 2017, if you put in Google, highest scientific achievement, and this scientific achievement was noted as one of the achievements. So when this achievement came after the satellite, that uterine transplant, one of the doctors in after my oration said, "Oh wow, it looks like a fiction." Ladies and gentlemen, it's not fiction. It's pure science of anatomy. If you understand the anatomy, you can transplant any organ. And in spite of doing all this work, we still are opposed. This is March 2018 British Journal of Obstetrics and Gynecology, which in its article says that 2 transplanted ladies of India have not only failed, but the ladies have died. This is the British mentality. You understand? March 2018. But we will not reply with words. Because I sincerely believe criticism should be replied with work, not words. Words will remain, work will go and become immortal. So we'll produce the baby and show them that a lie can hide the truth, but it can't change the truth. They can't change the truth. And that is why we are going to be first country in Asia, first country in the Pacific region to have a child in November 2018. It is just not a ripple, it's a wave. And then, as you rightly said, Dr. Ramesh, these countries from all over, University of Pennsylvania, France, United Kingdom, Australia, Czech Republic and China have all representatives coming to India now in Galaxy, wanting to know how it is alive. So the moment has already come here and we are already there. So I feel that there are 3 C's of success: courage, commitment, which all of us have as doctors, but largely it is the craziness which is very, very important, which I have in plenty. You can see that. And it is not the mountain that we conquer, because all of us have this habit of saying somebody has gone to the Mount Everest. What is Mount Everest in surgery? There has to be some surgical peak, and this is what is important. So volume please. And you can see that when you really want to achieve your dream,
इतनी शिद्दत से मैंने तुम्हें पाने की कोशिश की है कि हर जर्रे ने मुझे तुमसे मिलाने की साजिश की है। कहते हैं अगर किसी चीज को दिल से चाहो तो पूरी कायनात उसे तुमसे मिलाने की कोशिश में लग जाती है।
This is what we experience. So the future will be the first born baby from the transplanted uterus, which will be artificial, and there is also a bioengineered uterus which is coming in, which is going to be the next. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is our entire effort. So when you climb the mountains, this is the mountain, it begins with intense training. We also did intense training. When you climb the mountains and you want to reach the highest step, there is a risk at every step. To the summit, there is a huge risk. Lucky are the mountaineers. We always feel they are not lucky. Lucky are them. Because if the weather does not permit, if the things are not good, steps can be taken back. You can retreat to your base camp. Things can be undone. You can abandon. But when you put your first trocar and you do your transplant in surgery, there is no coming back. Decisions have to be made in split seconds. You are not going to wait. You have to think. You have to be proved that there is something which you are going to achieve, and that has to be coming from the depth of your heart. No break. We did the first transplant 11 hours, not a drop of water, no rest. Most important thing, just keep going. Why you keep going is only because you want to scale the highest mountains, and the highest mountain in laparoscopic surgery is to do a transplant. Because if you are going to care about everybody, you can never go there. You do not have to be pushed. The vision to do the transplant will pull you. Ladies and gentlemen, I fulfill my dreams of becoming the first transplanted country and to deliver my summit, my Himalayan Everest, Uterine summit, and I have achieved it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.